And the first thing I wanted to do tonight was to make an announcement that the budget hearing that was scheduled for tonight has been canceled and it's rescheduled. And that's due to a mistake that was on the notice of hearing publishing. The hearing has been rescheduled to next Monday, which is August 10 at 7 p.m. And we're going to, that notice was put in the legal ledger so that it's been out there so that it'll be there for the appropriate time. We'll be doing that also virtual. And we have a link on that notification. We also have a phone number in the event anybody from the public wants to know more information about that. As well as you can also contact the Merriam Drainage at gmail.com to learn about more information about the budget hearing as well. So again, the budget hearing is rescheduled for next week, August 10. Any more details, further details, it's been posted in the legal ledger, and you could also email us or give us a call on the phone number. So, regular meeting.
Excuse me, Eric, if I could interject. This is Jim Orr, counsel for the district. You might read into the record the telephone number and the access code, as well as the 816 number if they have a problem, just to make sure everybody knows that they can get access to the meeting if they need to, even if they don't have a computer.
Okay. Yeah. The phone number is 1-408-740-7256. Access code 368-1586. Hashtag. So that's 408-740-7256, code 368-1586, pound or hashtag, however you want to say it. Okay. Moving on, we'll move to our regular meeting, monthly meeting. And the first thing we'll do is go ahead and take roll call. And if you could start off, Gerald.
This is Gerald Becker. I'm the Secretary of the Drainage District.
This is Sam Matier. I'm the Treasurer of the Merriam Drainage District.
And Jim.
I'm sorry, Eric, I got bumped off for a second ago. I just logged back on.
Okay. Yeah, introduce yourself.
Oh, sure. This is Jim Orr. I'm the attorney for the Drainage District.
And Steve.
This is Steve Roth, a civil engineer for the Drainage District.
And Rebecca.
Rebecca Heatwell, recording secretary for the Drainage District.
Okay. First thing up, we need to take a look at the minutes and make any comments, concerns, any amendments. So I'll just open it up to discussion.
It was just one little word. It had the word uses instead of use. Can't find that. Seemed like it was in the engineering report, maybe. Number 3, Mr. Bell did inform that he did uses the Ames map, so it should be he did use the Ames map.
This is Eric. I had another site. It's on first page under engineer report, second bullet, third sentence. Indicates they anticipate that the life concrete block will last as, I believe it should say, they anticipate that the life of the concrete block will last as long, at least as long as we are getting now, and maybe more. And Rebecca, are you ready? I have another one also.
So sorry, I forgot that I was muted. Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. Third bullet under the engineer report. It says right after the first part, it says Mr. Roth will contact Max Rickey to see if and I think something was left out because after that it talks about a
Yep.
motion to pursue.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually gonna have to look at the recording there. Max
Okay.
Reviews.
Steve, do you recall what you had indicated?
No, not right off the top of my head, Eric.
Okay. Then we could just we can notate that and move on.
Sure, I
And
can look at the
then,
recording tonight.
okay. And then finally on the second page under number 3, under the engineer or attorney report, the other cost would be $3,000 to take care of the stakes and sign once and then again it goes into a motion was made.
Oh my gosh.
So
I will take. I don't exactly
okay.
know what that is.
Yeah, I was thinking you could probably take once the out. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just remove that. And that's all I have. If there's no further discussion, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as amended. Do I
What's
hear
the
a second?
second? Oh, was there a second? I'll second.
Okay, the motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, announce your vote.
This is Sam. I
This is
vote
Gerald
aye.
Becker. Gerald Becker, I vote aye.
Eric Jackson, I vote aye.
Gentlemen, can you tell me who made the motion on that? Was it Sam? And he seconded it?
Eric made the motion and Sam seconded it.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on, engineer report. We'll turn it over to Steve.
All right, this is Steve Roth, engineer for the district. Thank you, Eric. I guess I just have 3 things for the board this evening. After our last meeting, I did talk to Max Rickey about project number C from the 2020 CIP, and they are working on a proposal for that, as well as the sign. I got slightly delayed on the sign because I need to have it surveyed first. And the gentleman that I reached out to get the survey complete, unfortunately, has been laid off in the last couple of weeks. So I'm starting over a little bit on that one, but we'll get it done before the next meeting. And then on the 21st of July, I went and looked at each of the projects from the last couple of years, CIPs, that had not been completed yet, just to make sure that that the issues weren't significantly more dire than they were when we documented them for the CIP. And I can report of all the incomplete work over the last couple of years, the rock appears to be fairly stable and hasn't shifted significantly. I'm sure there's still some. It's not getting better, but didn't seem to be anything of immediate need or necessity. So with that,
Steve, can I ask you a question?
sure.
About I was looking through my papers here, and we surveyed that property, Mr. Bell's and our property and the city right of way in 2017 by Affinis. Would that still be applicable, or do you have to have a new survey to actually stake the property?
I took the survey that a fence provided, because as we were going through that process of granting the easement for the city for that project, they were kind enough to share their files with me. So I had sent those to the surveyor as well, just so they wouldn't have to do all the property research, because all we really needed to have done would be to have the property corners staked.
Okay.
So I was using that information in order to kind of speed things up and make it efficient.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else for the engineer report? Okay, no further comments.
Oh, actually, as long as we're in the engineering report, I happened to read the article in the Shawnee Mission Post and about how the city had to put up fencing and things for a hole by the creek. Does anybody recall being notified about that? It was in that June article in the Shawnee Mission Post. I don't recall us ever being notified by the city that they had taken action on a hole by the creek.
This is Eric. I don't recall being notified of that either. What I do recall was being notified by a city that there was a hole, and in turn I had forwarded that on to Steve, and Steve had looked into it, and that was about the same time. Mr. Becker, you had taken a photo of it as well, and we addressed it at that meeting that
Right.
night.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to say I think we acted on it promptly, and I don't remember any notification from the city that they had taken on anything on their own. So just wanted to get that out there.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to the attorney report. Jim.
Thank you. This is Jim Orr, attorney for the Drainage District. The first item I have to report on is the issue of storage. And Chairman Jackson and I have talked about this and gone back and forth somewhat. And I think the conclusion that I have is that because of the quantity, quality, and age of documents that we have, that it probably isn't cost effective to scan everything at this time and to convert to electronic copies. It would be, frankly, easier and probably less expensive simply to store them. And Eric has looked at some storage facilities and I think has some pricing available on that. Again, it's not an enormous amount of documents. It's, I believe, something like 4 file cabinets. And given that size, and that's not an unmanageable amount to store. And I think the district would have to have some sort of physical storage capability anyway, because unless we go to a completely all digital format, and that's probably not practical right now, there would have to be some place to store it. So if you're going to have some place, you may as well have it just a little bit bigger and hang on to what you have. So I think my recommendation would be to go with a commercial controlled temperature, controlled climate storage facility, at least for the time being, and then monitor as time goes on. Obviously, as we progress, more and more documents will be kept electronically, but for right now, I think the archive can be kept in hard copy just fine. Eric, do you have the prices on? I don't recall what they were. I'm not hearing anyone. If anyone, I may have lost contact.
No,
Can you hear me?
you did. I'm being challenged. I haven't heard you. This is Eric Jackson. I did do research, and yes, I can go ahead and talk about that now instead of later on in the agenda. But the storage mart on Frontage Road, they are holding a 5x5 for us and reserved, and that is $38.99 a month. And after you include insurance, which I think we could probably get that waived once we get a declaration page. And the tax, you're looking at $55, $60 a month, something like that. And so that is something we need to go ahead and make a decision on and move forward. And since we're talking about that now, does anybody have any discussion or concerns about using Storage Mart on Frontage Road in Merriam?
This is Sam.
Go. This is Gerald Becker. What kind of access would we have to those files? I think they have pretty liberal hours, but let's just talk about that for a second.
It's been probably 3 weeks or so since I've looked that up. You do have a key so you can get into them. It is climate controlled, but I would have to get online to give you exactly what the access is. But I'm fairly certain that, unless you're wanting to get in there at 1 or 2 in the morning, I think you'd be all right. But even then, I don't know that. I think you have a code or something to that effect, but don't quote me on that. I know they want to say they close at 5 or 6, but again, I'd have to look it up. I don't know.
This is Jim Moore. Eric, I've got a little experience with that, and it's more than regular business hours. So it would be like I've had them storage facilities like through an estate, and you can get in on weekends and you get in pretty late at night. It's I'm not positive they ever completely close, but it's certainly normal business hours and fairly liberal weekend access would be typical.
I used it. If I could just interject here, I used Storage Mart out on 135th, and they were open 24 hours, so I could go in and get stuff anytime. You just have a code to get into the building, and then you get into the storage unit.
Good.
Sounds about right. Okay, this is Eric. Do we want to go ahead and make a motion to use the Storage Mart on Frontage Road in Merriam?
This is Gerald Becker. I'll make a motion that we use Storage Mart to store the Merriam Drainage District files.
This is Sam Mateer. I'll second that motion.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded. Let's go ahead and announce our vote.
Gerald Becker, I vote aye.
Sam Mateer, I vote aye.
Eric Jackson, I vote aye. Motion is passed. And Rebecca, I'll send you an email with their contact information. I plan on stopping by tomorrow and doing some paperwork to get that started. Again, they've been holding on to it for us for 2-3 weeks now. If we can get that, make a payment on that tomorrow, that would be good.
Sure.
And also a little benefit is they give the next month free, so that's their little incentive.
We should be able to, if it's okay with the board, set that up for auto pay. And I think sometimes they give you a discount if you do it auto pay.
I think that's what they're looking at doing or wanting to do.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything? Sorry, go ahead, Sam.
I just wanted to say I looked at their Storage Mart website. They're open 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., but they don't say what days of the week.
Okay. This is Rebecca. Is there anything further you need from me other than their contact information?
No, because I can call and get that all set up with auto pay, just like we do for QuickBooks, where it just comes out of the debit card, and I give you receipts every month.
Okay. All right. This is Eric. Jim, is there anything further you had for your attorney report?
Just a little bit. Again, this is Jim Orr, attorney for the district. At the last meeting, the board discussed the desirability of having an audit performed. In the interim, Ms. Heatwell and I have worked with John Martin, who's a local CPA who's very experienced in public entity accounting. He is the accountant for the Fairfax Drainage District. He's the accountant for the city of Western Hills. He has done lots of other work for public entities. And my suggestion would be that, well, let me say that, and I think Rebecca will echo this, that he was very helpful in looking at the budget and helping us, especially with the difficulties that TIF imposes on how you present that properly in a budget. And he has offered to be present at our next budget hearing. My suggestion would be that the board give consideration to hiring him or whoever the board's pleasure is as a CPA for really to help Rebecca with this, particularly these more complex issues like the accounting presentation of TIF for the budget and overall just general accounting advice as we go through the year. I'm not asking the board to take any action tonight at all, or just to give us some consideration. And I did mention to Mr. Martin that I'd like him to send me a resume and some indication of what his fees are, fee schedule, and I will forward that when I get that to the board. But again, this is not anything for you to vote on tonight, but just to put your thinking caps on and give it some consideration as we progress into the future. And the only other matter I had to report on, and this is purely me, it's not from any prior meeting, is I think it might be helpful if the drainage district had a dedicated telephone number. We don't get many calls. I wouldn't anticipate many calls, but an inexpensive cell phone line that could be used in the event someone wants to contact voice to voice, again, would not be expensive and would be yet another way to encourage communication with the public or facilitate communication with the public. I'm not asking for any hard and fast decision tonight, but it's something you might want to think about as we go forward. At present, for example, the fallback telephone number for our meetings is Rebecca's personal cell phone, and I think that's probably okay, but it's also a bit of an imposition on her. And there really should be something that's permanent. And no offense, Rebecca, but we all fade away eventually. And,
It's true. It's true.
permanent line.
Who would monitor that line, Mr. Orr?
You'd have to designate someone, and it could either be the secretary, like Rebecca, or it could be the chairman. And my thought would be probably you would go days, if not weeks, and not get a phone call, but just check the voicemails roughly daily.
This is Sam. I wonder if it would have to actually be a hard cell phone, or could we just get a cell phone number and have it forwarded to somebody's number?
But that would probably be fine too.
Yeah.
I don't have any mechanics of it. It's just that it would be handy, and occasionally we all have computer failures, so it's not always it's always a good idea to have some alternate form of communication just in life in general.
This is Eric. Rebecca, did you understand what Sam was talking about? Because I'm not that tech savvy. As far as, are you able to get a phone number then basically without purchasing a phone?
I've only seen it with Google, like doing Google numbers that forward to other cell phones. I don't know the other option. I don't know if there's another option to go through like a Verizon or something to have it forwarded. So, but I've seen it done with Google.
Well, this is Eric, and I don't oppose having a phone. I think, yes, it'd be a good idea, and it would be a good idea not to utilize our own phone numbers just for continuity. And Sam, it seemed like you, do you know a little more about what you were talking about, or could you provide an update by next meeting?
I'd be happy to look into it.
Thank you. Okay, this is Eric. Is there anything further, Jim?
I don't have anything further under my report. Since I already jumped ahead to the file issue, I might jump ahead to the insurance renewal because I have some very recent information that you may not have all seen. And a recommendation
Certainly.
as well, if that's okay.
Yes, go ahead.
Excuse me. I'm not sure where must have been some confusion at our insurance brokers, but late this afternoon, I got a statement for the public officials liability policy, which effectively a directors and officers policy for public entities. You should all have that. The amount, as I recall, is $1,200. And I would strongly urge that you go ahead and approve that tonight so we can get that paid. The policy actually lapses on, I believe, the 9th, but our agent said he'd go ahead and bind it so we wouldn't have a loss of coverage. That still makes me nervous. I'd like to get that check cut and get it to the agent as soon as possible. It's not. It's kind of frustrating because, as I say, we just got the statement this afternoon at like 4:30, but it is what it is. So the first thing would be to approve the public officials liability policy in the amount of $1,200 for next year. If you would like to entertain a discussion or motion on that.
This is Eric. Is the 1,200? It's tied into the other insurance with DeMasters as well, correct? So it's not just 1,200. It's going to be the other as well.
Well, there'll be a separate policy. That's the general liability policy, and that one. The confusion was that I had wanted him to send me the statement. I believe at the last meeting, Rebecca mentioned that the bill was coming up. Somewhere along the line, I don't know how this happened, but we didn't get the bill. We got today. I got an application for a renewal because apparently the company that we've been doing business with is no longer writing that type of policy. So the second issue is the general liability policy, and my recommendation is that the board authorize Ms. Heatwell and me, and possibly Chairman Jackson, if his signature is needed, to go ahead and send the application in, and as part of that, to authorize the payment of a premium so that we can at least get that bound, keeping in mind that if we decide to cancel a policy, we could get at least a partial refund of the premium. But our general liability policy expires on August 23rd. And again, I would not want to see a lapse in coverage. My suggestion on the liability policy would be for the board to authorize the payment of not to exceed a $10,000 annual premium. Our agent thinks it'll probably be closer to $6,000 or $7,000, but in order to give us some leeway and not to have an emergency meeting, that would be my recommendation. So to summarize, there are two issues. Policy number one is the public officials policy. That's $1,200, and we need approval to pay that immediately. The second issue is the general liability policy, which expires later this month, and I would be asking for authority to go ahead and submit a renewal application. The agent will shop it with several different companies, but we also will need to pay a kind of check immediately. Again, our agent is good about saying that he'll bind it and wait for the check to come in, but that makes me kind of nervous. I don't think that's not the safest way to play. So those would be those are the two categories of suggestions I have.
This is Eric. Does anybody have any comments or feedback on that?
No, I would like to make a motion that we approve the. I'm not sure. I'm not sure of the time. The $1,200 to renew the liability for the board members, and if I got that right.
Yeah, it's a public officials policy.
Public, yeah, right. Let's go ahead and get that taken care of. And then I have a couple questions about the other one when that comes up. But I'll make a motion that we approve that.
Okay, this is Eric. The motion's been made to approve the public officer liability coverage for 1,200. I'll second it. Motion's been made and seconded. Vote in favor. Announce your vote.
It's Gerald
This is
Becker.
Sam.
I vote aye. Excuse me. We always jump in front of each other. Okay. I vote aye.
This is Sam Mateer. I vote aye.
This is Eric Jackson. I vote aye. The motion is passed. And go ahead with Jim or Gerald with your comments on the general liability policy.
On the general liability policy, if we are not able to find another carrier by August 23rd, what happens?
Our policy expires.
Okay, and we're not covered.
We're not covered.
Even if we give Tom DeMasters $6 or $7 grand, that's not going to cover us, right? I just want to make.
We're not going to.
I want to be clear about that, huh?
Yeah, we're not going to. I'm sorry. This is Jim Moore again. We're not going to pay him unless he can get coverage for us.
Right. Okay.
But he said he was very confident that he can shop it with his broker and get possibly even several different bids. But I have the application form. He emailed that to me. Like I say, I think about 4:30 or so this afternoon, and I have looked at it. I think I can finish it. I know I can finish it in the morning.
Right. Okay. Well, I just wonder, as I recall, it was hard when we first got the general liability policy to find anybody who would underwrite it. Scottsdale did. I think we actually looked several times for other carriers, and were never successful. So I'm a little worried about that. Does Mr. DeMasters indicate pretty confident that he can find somebody?
He did see. Yeah, he seemed to be pretty confident that it wouldn't be a problem.
Okay.
I'll certainly keep everybody apprised of what's going on. And again, I'm frankly kind of frustrated that this comes up this late, but I think with some clarification of what we do, that will help with the application process, because sometimes I think insurers are under the impression that we're doing things like building giant dams and things like that. There's much higher risk, and clearly we're not. So
Right. Right.
But
Good.
I will. This is in my view, extremely high priority, and I've made it very clear to Tom that in the future we need more than 3 weeks' notice. So.
Okay.
Mr. Orr, I think it's the same application we get every year. I had a chance to take a look at it. So I actually have the previous year's applications that we filled out that I can share with you if you desire, or I can fill it out and you can look at it.
That would be very helpful. In fact, I think it would be helpful if we could have those and forward them to Tom too, because I think, if I recall, in at least one or more of those, there was some explanation as to what the drainage district does, and
Right.
again, sometimes they confuse us with like a water district or a sewer district that has vastly higher risk and significantly greater construction activities and things of that sort. So, yeah, that would be very helpful to as soon as possible. But the other part of the equation is we need to be able to pay the premium as soon as possible so that we can fully bind the coverage.
So excuse me, this is Gerald Becker. So you're recommending that we make a resolution that to spend not more than $10,000 on a new general liability policy. Is that correct?
That's correct. I mean, you could go higher if you wanted to. It's whatever your comfort level is, but you might want to. You might want to know about that before you spend more money than that.
Right.
And in fairness to Chairman Jackson, and he needs to have some guidance and parameters. But if you wanted to say 15,000, that'd be fine. That would be an extraordinary increase, but it's possible it could be that high.
This is Eric. So basically, that would be in the event that is something is found prior to next meeting. Basically, we're going to have to find something prior to next meeting because it expires on 8/23. So we do need to make a decision tonight as far as the general liability policy. Correct?
Yes.
This is Gerald Becker. We have a budget hearing scheduled for next Monday. So would it be appropriate? Can we take up business like that at that meeting also, in case we have a quote or there's more information?
Well, the budget hearing really is just intended to be solely for the budget, and because we publish notice of all along when our regular meetings are going to be, and they're always at the same time. I'm really not comfortable with doing that.
Okay.
I suppose you could continue this meeting to the 10th for the purpose of further discussion of that issue, but the budget hearing certainly needs to take precedence and begin at 7 o'clock per the notifications.
Okay.
This is Eric. So do I hear a motion then to approve a general liability policy not to exceed 10,000?
This is Sam here. I move we approve $10,000 for the purposes of purchasing a general liability policy. Up to $10,000.
This is Gerald Becker. I mean, Mr. Orr just suggested maybe we ought to make it 15,000, just in case, just to sort of cover our bases. So I'm just going to bounce that back to Mr. Jackson and see what he thinks.
This is Eric. I don't see that it's an issue. We could probably bump it to 15, and as long as we say up to, I think we'll be okay. So we can start it again.
This is Sam here. I will rescind my motion. Take back my motion.
So do I hear a motion to approve a general liability policy for up to $15,000?
This is Sam here. I move that we approve spending up to $15,000 for a general liability policy.
This is Gerald Becker. I second that motion.
The motion has been seconded. All in favor, announce your vote.
This is Sam here. I vote aye.
Gerald Becker, Secretary. I vote aye.
Eric Jackson, Chairman. I vote aye. Motion is approved. Okay. Anything further, Jim, on the insurance renewal? Oh,
No,
I was going to say, I knew in your email you had indicated whether or not a signature was going to be required for me to do the 1,200 on the public official liability. I'm available tomorrow if needed. Just let me know one way or another.
I think as long as we can get a check to them, that'll be fine. I don't think that's going to require a signature. The application for the general liability may, and I'll certainly communicate that to you as soon as I find out.
Okay, very good.
Great.
Next on the agenda is the website, and I'll turn it over to Sam.
Okay, you should have two documents regarding the website. One is the request for a quote, and you might tell me if there's anything incorrect in there, because a lot of what is in there would go on the home page to describe the drainage district. I originally sent it out to two web designers who I'm both familiar with, and one of them came through with a quote and the other declined. At the last minute, he said he didn't have time to come up with a quote. So we only have one quote. And you have in that document all the things that would be on the website. As far as names for the website, there's a lot. There's a lot we could choose. We could have drainagedistrict.org, or we could have mdd-turkeycreek.org, or merriam-drainagedistrict.org. So those are some of the possibility. This particular web designer that did quote lives in Denver, but I don't think that should make any difference. It's all done online. And my guess is you would want him to put on the agendas and the minutes and load all the other documents in there. And as a new meeting came up, we would contact him and give him the documents to add to the website. And at $60 an hour, that's not too bad. Are there any questions?
This is Eric. I thought you did a good job at basically indicating what we needed, and I appreciate that. I seem to think that it's appropriate. The only thing would be that kind of comes to mind is if we move forward on this, typically we would want to have some kind of photo of Turkey Creek or something of that nature. Had anybody thought about any type of photos for the web page?
I think that would be a good idea. I don't know. Maybe we have something from a drone that would.
This is Steve Roth, engineer for the district. As I'm frequently in the area looking at the walls, we have any number of photos that would probably be applicable for use on the website. So I can go through all the photos that we've taken and provide a selection to the board or just directly to the designer.
And this is Sam here. I would want to make sure that I've got my facts straight that are in the RFQ. For instance, we're about 75 years old, and our responsibility only is in Merriam for Turkey Creek. I don't think we have any responsibility outside of Merriam. So I just want to make sure that's correct.
Well, there are a few blocks in Shawnee that are included in the district, city of Shawnee. And they are taxed. So I think that's described somewhere in more detail. Yeah. But no, I think you did a good job. It was well presented. I think the drainage district has been in existence for about 70 years, right? Wasn't it incorporated about 1950?
I just happened to be, this is Eric, I just happened to be running through some of those documents. Believe it was the petition was 1946 it was started. And Jim helped me out. I know Jim had also looked at some of those documents. Does that sound about right, Jim?
I think this is Jim Orr. Yes, I believe it was 1946 is when the petition to the Board of County Commissioners was submitted. And if I could add one other thing, it might be helpful to have a map of the drainage district. I believe we have one of those digitally already.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah, this is Eric. I believe we do, and I think might even provide, or you had provided the board that digital map. I can try and rummage it up. And do we want to then go through? First of all, I guess we need to go ahead and approve using the website, and then go from there. So, do I hear a motion to go ahead and use the HPG Enterprises to prepare a website for the Merriam Drainage District?
This is Sam Mateer. I move that we approve HPG Enterprises to create a website for the Merriam Drainage District.
This is Gerald Becker. I second that motion.
Okay, and I would also include that and to do the yearly work towards updating it as well. So the motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, announce your vote.
This is Sam Mateer. I vote aye.
Gerald Becker, I vote aye.
Eric Jackson, I vote aye. Motion is passed.
Okay, this is Sam Mateer. If you have some things and maps and pictures, if you would forward those to me, I will get those up to HPG.
This is it. I think what we need to probably do then is either forward it to Rebecca, and Rebecca can get it to Sam. Does that sound about right, Jim?
This is Jim Orr. Yeah, probably just as long as there's one person that's the focal point, I think otherwise it'll get a little chaotic. And I will certainly look, and I'm 99% sure I've got at least a PDF map that would work. So, but yeah, it makes sense to send it to Rebecca, and then you can move it on to Sam if that's okay with Rebecca and Sam.
How do I proceed with HPG? Do we have HPG send us a bill? Is that what I did?
This is Eric. Eventually it's going to need to turn over to Rebecca because she's going to have to set up the payment, the auto payment, and that stuff. Isn't that right, Rebecca?
Yes, I'll need to get all the information from them to either set up the payment or to pay them monthly or however we're gonna pay them.
Okay. Now, this is Sam Mateer. Is there a preference on a name for this website? I can go through. Here's a couple I came up with. One is drainagedistrict.org, kind of short. Then there's mdd-turkeycreek.org. And then there's the long one, merriamdrainagedistrict.org, or you could have it .gov.
Well, I like merriamdrainagedistrict.gov. Sounds good.
Okay.
This is Eric. I would echo that. I think if we start using acronyms, people may not key in on that. So yeah, the Merriam Drainage District.gov. Or did you say merriamdrainage.gov?
No, they don't have a merriamdrainage.gov, but they do have a .org.
So the .gov is merriamdrainagedistrict.gov?
Yes.
Okay. This is Eric. Jim, do we need to vote on that, or is that something that we just can agree to and move forward?
Oh, you probably could just agree to it. It doesn't hurt to vote on it. That way it's a little more definitive, I think. If you just had a motion to approve that as the name, the domain name.
This is Eric. I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the domain name of merriamdrainagedistrict.gov. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. This is Eric. I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the domain name of merriamdrainagedistrict.gov. Do I hear a second? Second. Okay. This is Eric. I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the domain name of merriamdrainagedistrict.gov. Do I hear a second?
This is Sam Matier. I second the motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, announce your vote.
This is Sam Matier. I vote aye.
Gerald Becker, I vote aye.
Eric Jackson, I vote aye. So the motion is passed. All right. I think we are ready to go to approval of bills for payment. And the only thing I had a question on is for Gerald, if he received Maldonado's invoice for this time period.
Yes, I did. I think I hope I emailed that to everybody. I'm sorry. Yeah, he has 58 hours, which is a lot, but he had to mow all of the areas twice this month because of the rain. So it's a lot of work, and it looks great. Yes, he has 58 hours. And if I went, I saw a bill to the Kansas City Star for $299. What's that for?
That was the publication of the second meeting that we had, the meeting where the work session. We had to publish it somewhere to get it for a meeting, and they charged drastically more than the legal record.
Okay, all right. Okay, all right. That was the special meeting we held last month, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
This is Eric. Is there any more discussion on the bills? And if not, do I hear a motion to approve the bills as presented for payment? And before I get into the motion, I'll ask this to Rebecca. Do we have anything indicating what the mowing will be? Did it make it? I guess my question is, did it make it to you, Rebecca, in time for?
It did, and it was 2,000. Hold on one second. $1,320 for 58 hours at $40 an hour.
Okay, so that's included for the bills.
Correct.
Okay, so this is Eric. I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the bills as presented for payment. Do I hear a second?
This is Sam Matier. I'll second the motion.
All in favor, announce your vote.
This is Sam Matier. I vote aye.
This is Gerald Becker. I vote aye.
It's Eric Jackson. I vote aye. All right. Moving to new business. I'll open the floor up for any new business.
This is Sam Matier. Can we discuss the budget at all here? Since it's not a budget meeting, but can we at least bring up some things for the budget meeting that will be August 10th?
This is Eric. I'll go ahead and defer that to Jim.
This is Jim Orr, counsel for the Drainage District. I suppose you could, but I recommend you not do so. The purpose for the hearing is to fully vet the topics of the budget and to allow the public a chance to ask questions or make comments on it. So my suggestion would be to defer that to the budget hearing.
The Sam Matier again. How can the public ask questions? Do they do that by written comments? Or?
No, we're going to have to open it. It's a public hearing, and it has to be. They have to be able to make comments. Mr. Roth's going to have his work cut out for him because it's very difficult to run a virtual meeting with a lot of people wanting to talk at the same time without it descending into chaos. So we'll just have to do the best we can. But we do have to allow any member of the public, particularly any taxpayer in the drainage district, the opportunity to ask questions and make comments. And they can say it's too high, not enough, whatever they want to do. But that I don't have a formula or anything, but hopefully we can trust people to verbally wait their turn and just kind of go step by step, because I think that's really the best we can do. It's not optimal, obviously. None of this is optimal, but we do have to allow the public the opportunity to say something. That's why it's a public hearing.
This is Sam Matera. I have nothing more to say about the budget than this time.
This is Eric, and I wanted to just touch base with Steve. If I remember right, I believe you said that we still have time to do work in the Turkey Creek for any projects, and that after the fall rains, that could be either in October or November. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, we can, once we get past the fall rains, which typically end towards the end of December, first part of November, we should still be able to get some projects done before the ground freezes.
This is Eric. Okay, then I would suggest then at our next meeting, we'll have had our budget meeting under our belt, and we can probably take a look at those projects that we would like to pursue within the 2020 timeframe. So, any comments or questions on that?
I don't really have any new business, but I'd like to ask Mr. Roth what happened to the pennants on his wall.
With the software we can add backgrounds, and the pennants kind of mess with the background. So in the less formal meetings that I've been attending via video, I tend to play around with the backgrounds, but this is not the venue for that.
This is Eric. So that there's no further new business, I do want to note that our next meeting is scheduled for Labor Day, September 7. Does anybody have difficulties attending on that day?
This is Gerald Becker. No, I don't. If we want to hold it on Labor Day, that's okay with me. Moving it to the what would it be? The 14th seems like kind of late in the month. So.
I agree. Mr. Matera or anybody else on the staff have a complication with the 7th of September?
This is Sam Matera. I'm looking at my calendar right now. I have no problem.
This is Jim Moore, counsel for the district. Sorry, Sam. I don't have any problem with the 7th.
This is Steve Roth again, engineer. I don't have a problem with the 7th.
Okay.
This is Rebecca, recording secretary. I have no problem either.
Thank you, everybody, for acknowledging. Then our next meeting will be the budget hearing, again, August 10, 2020. That'll be virtual. That's been put out in the legal ledger, so that, and if anybody's got questions, they can email us or give us a call. That being said, do I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting?
This is Sam Matera. I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Gerald Becker, I second that motion.
All in favor, and that's your vote.
Sam Matera, I vote aye.
Gerald Becker, I vote aye.
And Eric Jackson, I vote aye. And thank everybody for your time and attention. Good night.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you.
Stay well.
Good evening.